miles, whether it's best deposits that are some strong.
All right, we want to make sure we get everybody back to work. On both sides.
Yeah, every day. I think we get much work. So it's in more ways.
We won't do introductions. You can see where everybody is, right? So you don't want us to waste 10 minutes doing that, do you?
Yeah. They can see.
So this is basically the team that's working on this project. We go right through the whole thing. We have a whole presentation. We think 90% of them will be answered through the presentation. And then if there's any questions that you have, we'll be here as long as you want. And
you what? You, I would have like, listen, what's up? Okay, so,
how's that?
What can you speak?
we're going to take it us.
It was. All right. We'll choose with Connect. There you go. Tell us what it's. All right, anyway, since we haven't heard about the picture, I will choose a few people. These are the people that work downtown 7 days a week. You probably don't see them up early in the morning. Where's Hooli? Where's Hooli again? Where's over?
Back corner.
Where?
Left.
Oh, Hooli's back there. This guy lives with refrigerators by himself, couches, you name it. He's out there. He's invisible. It's my man. Mark Crosby. Stand up so people can see it. This guy, 12 months a year, 7 days a week, he's out there cleaning up. If you never see him, that's the guy. Usually it's done by early morning, right? And then the famous Sally, who does all our flowers downtown. Nice job, Sally. And who else would this? Is Brad here? Where's Brad? And then Brad, who also helps Sally, the most patient guy I know, who takes care of the trails that are downtown, gets immediate flowers and everything else. So if you never saw them, a lot of times they work as early in the morning, but it's like magic. Every day you come downtown and it just looks absolutely good. All right. Are you ready to go?
They'll be able to.
Yeah.
All right. Let me read.
Jimmy.
Yeah, we'll go as quick as we can. I mean, it's pretty much straightforward. We'll get the plan started. We'll go right through the whole thing. Here's some of the services that we provide downtown. Don't think it's any mystery. Don't try that at home with the rules. Unless you have.
Please ask, wait.
Huh?
Your time is the screen counts.
Sorry, you can't have it now. I thought it was long enough to get that down. Okay. There's all the services that we provide downtown. You can read, and I have to list them all, but there's some of the things that you're giving them to. Again, our flower program, it's mostly funded with donations that come in. We put in little, we send out fundraising letters, and we put a little insert into the water bills in the city, and then people make donations and a lot of it. Cavecchio is located in London. They have some greenhouses up there on across from Holy Family, and he makes a substantial donation to us every year. Again, some of the events that we do here, again, most of these come from outside downtown, but people are pretty generous, brings a lot of people in here. A lot of people that come in to visit here and in our downtown.
It was so good.
We spend a lot of time. We probably, I don't know if we have any old mill buildings left. I think the Tilton Cook building's the last building in town that hasn't been turned into apartments or a mixed use. A lot of these are grants that the city gets involved with to help people. They're usually incomprehensive and a ton of different funding sources that we spot each other. Our downtown investment is right now about 22 million, a little over 22 million, through the facade programs, through various construction projects that we do downtown. But it's about 22.209 million. That's the after. That's what the project look like after we're done. It's not exactly perfect and shows all of the buildings, but It's pretty close to what it will look like when it's finished. All right, somebody will take this. I'm not the engineer, so I'll explain. Dave White, the wood department, will explain the project and why it's going. What's that?
I'm going to try to speak loudly. I don't have a very loud projecting voice.
It's working now?
Very complicated. The project that we're proposing contains three specific primary elements. First element is Mechanic Street Bridge, in which we are proposing to line the bridge so that we don't have to excavate or do work with the Mechanic Street. We'll be sliding the liner into an existing stone masonry structure. The second element of the project is the replacement of the powder that's turning into the municipally owned parking lot. Jason, you will please speak.
Oh, like this. It's not. It's not target.
Oh, okay. So, second element of the project.
This is the other one. Thanks.
Okay, which is that? Yeah. So, can you? Please. And you guys go and see.
Funny. So it's at the top of. He's just.
So,
Yeah.
Here, I'll try to speak a little closer to you and me talk about the project. So the second element of the project is the replacement of the existing culvert under the municipal parking lot adjacent to Banner Gap. And the third element of the project is the replacement of the walls along the brook.
If you didn't notice, that's the area where you see all the trap rock. That wall is coming down. So we've temporarily stabilized it with stone, but it literally is falling down. If that falls down, and there's obviously a change that the whole thing just goes. And a lot of it is through the variation of the climate changes, where we have winters where they're freezing and Florida freezing at the pretty much the cause of it. If that thing goes, then road goes. So that thing is being held up. It did make it through the flood, but the water level at that time was pretty much what it is now, just a trickle. So we locked out a lot of water, but it could easily have taken that whole thing out. That was our big concern. Because if that portion goes, that's it for the whole road.
What whole road?
Manning Ave. Yes, if you drive there now, you'll see big stone, riprap, whatever you call it. It's holding up that side of the road with Jersey barriers. So we put Jersey barriers into the river, and that's what's holding you. One big stone takes that thing out, that whole road, Manning Ave, where Enterprise Bank is, or was, Rollstone, that goes. That shuts the whole thing. Good.
So that's it on the right. This point here. This is a photo of the third element of that project, the brick, the east walls lining the brick. The photo on the right is that trap rock with the Jersey barriers. That was placed emergency repair when the existing stone wall failed. We put the sewer line that runs immediately behind the wall in the street in jeopardy. The middle photo is some additional problems that are occurring currently with the wall. We placed stone at the bottom of the wall. It is actually sort of eroding from behind the wall into a hill. So this section of the wall is also starting to show signs of failure. And then further upstairs, in photo on the left, the issue to see where there's then a collapse of the curving along the roadway immediately adjacent to the wall, which is also showing that the wall is starting to show movement. And we see, so we can look at this wall here. This wall is currently in this state of failure to continue to fail and put assets at risk.
So that middle picture, you can see the two blocks. Just above that, that's soil. That's like a dangerous spot to be in right now. And so they got these two blocks holding it. You put too much scrap rock in, that changes everything. Road have a stone that raises the levels. So those are the dangers also. Besides the
we get under, we'll go to the first element of the project, Mechanic Street. This is a photo, couple photos of DOT on the left showing this cracking in the top arch stones, the key stones within the bridge, which is a concern. You move over to the upstate flag version center photo is looking up from the face of the bridge to right where the sidewalk used to be, and still needs to support the sidewalk. That sidewalk that still needs severely corroded. It needs to be replaced. And then lastly, the photo on the right is the damage that we observed during a couple of years ago during the flood when the road was overtopped from the brook, which blew out the sidewalk in the bays. So here at Mass DOT, the steps to this bridge on a 2-year cycle. These categorize this bridge as in fair condition with severe major deficiencies.
Can we just talk about so anybody that's old enough to remember where that parking lot is now between Brady's and Benito's, that parking lot were buildings. It's the old theater. And so what they did is they took the building down, and when they reached down level, they just left the rest of it there, and they put some concrete and then paved over it. So basically what's under there through the testing is asbestos. So they left everything under there. What was there 150 years ago, it's still there. That's all going to come out. So that's the part you can't see from the photos.
So when we first started this project, the city got started initially with the failure of the wall, the trap rock, the wall damage fatal. And so we asked us to look at the wall in its entirety. We did that on visual, to see additional failures, as well as looking at the culvert under the parking lot in this area. And very clearly, there's a significant risk of failure and damage loss. And what those risks result in is losing accessibility to downtown. Should the Mechanic Street Bridge fail, you now have one of your main arteries into downtown unavailable of a service. Similarly, as you see with the trap rock, the emergency place of the stone, the cities had to reinforce staff on a temporary basis to maintain that peak. So continued failure that wall of the Cleaning Street and the utility services that are needed, which include the sanitary sewer as well as those utility bridge over the brook, which also would be lost when the wall is.
How much of that soil line that goes through, how much of that handles downtown? The soil line.
About a third.
So a third of that soil line serves about a third of the city or the downtown.
It extends all the way out to the units.
Yeah, so that's a huge section of town. So it's the whole south side going up Union Street. That's the soil line of that area. So that thing breaks, and we're in trouble.
And lastly, the parking lot. Right now, if you go out there, you'll see that 4 or 5 parking spaces have been narrowed off or barricaded off. That is because there is a sinkhole developing in that location as a result of the condition of that culvert of the pipe. So additional progression of that would result in loss of pipe on such.
The part, what we're talking about where the Jersey barriers are, MassDOT looked at that and they really, for precautionary reasons, really wanted to extend it out. They wanted to take out much more of that. We convinced them to take another look. We're about to do this project and hang in there without cutting off half that parking lot. So that's how we ended up with a smaller portion.
And so when we start looking at, what would we lose as far as infrastructure? And what would be substantially damaged? We look at the consequences. The consequences become very public safety, public health, become number one priorities. But then we think about as we lose these structures collapse, if it occurs during a rainfall event, they are going to block the waterway and resultantly flooding risks to the adjacent properties as well as upstream properties. And we down the obvious side is you have significant infrastructure damage, roads, utilities, all those. And with all of that comes business interruption. So the intent of the project is to restore the infrastructure, improve the use of the shelter, so that we can avoid these consequences. You want to talk about some funding?
Yeah.
So these projects are just so complex. They take a lot of time to get through the permitting process, public hearings, different funding sources. So when you take it through the process, a lot of it, or I should say a good deal of it, I threw, or some of it went during COVID, which when you explain, we spent a lot of time because the recommendation for the project by the funding sources was to daylight the river, which meant taking out all that parking. And we spent a lot of time, and it was very hard because there was nobody parked downtown while we're trying to tell them how important that parking is, down the road. So when you're explaining a lot of that, but that was the overall plan, is to push us into daylighting the river, Monoosnoc Brook, and taking out all that parking.
So this is a multifaceted process, which actually started in 2020. That's how competitive the state grants are and the FEMA grants are. So we started in 2020. We got an MVP grant, which I'm only going to say what MVP stands for once, because I don't know how they came up with this name, but it's the Massachusetts Vulnerability Preparedness Program. So MVP. So we got $50,000 to develop our climate action plan. We had a long, some of you were here. It was an eight-hour planning session, which brought together a whole bunch of people, a cross section of everybody. A lot of people from some transit people and some business people. It was a really good cross section of people. So we came up with a plan. Monoosnoc Brook was actually the number one with priority for that plan. Then right after that. So the MVP, the Climate Action Plan, is required to give the additional state money to permit the project. So in between that, we appropriated some money to do a $30,000 hazard mitigation plan, which is required to get the FEMA money. So those plans in place, both of them had Monoosnoc Brook as the number one priority. Then we got two action grants through the MVP program, which allowed us to go through permitting and all the way through construction documents. We also got a state budget earmark, which helped bring us to the final plan. So all this took about 4 years. And then we finally got the FEMA money, which is where we are today with the construction bonds. We had a series of meetings, even during COVID. We had Zoom meetings when in the morning and at night to accommodate people's schedules. And we got some good feedback from people. So even through the challenge of COVID, we still get a lot of public participation in this process. This is just an example of some permits that were required. It's Army Corps of Engineers, EPA, DEP at the state level. It's a lot from the local boards all the way through the federal government. Do you want to talk about this, or do you want to help?
Yeah, so at the end, we have options. Option one is to make minimal improvements, and we couldn't get any grant money for that. If we did that, number two is the current project that we're proposing. Number three is the daylighting High Brook. So Buchanan Street, this was the state's first choice. It meant permanent loss of parking to about 30 spaces. We fought, Wendy and I both, were adamant that please don't make this. Would it be nice to see the brook go through it? Yeah, I think it would. But would it be the best thing for the downtown? No. we'll have enough parking as it is. And again, we were kind of fighting this. And some of it was in the middle of COVID when we were driving around trying to tell them we need more parking, and there's nobody there. Like every parking was empty. But we were there, and we were able to keep the parking. It was enough. But yeah, as I said, you saw 3 alternative options. So the contract is here today, and let me just tell you, this team has worked nonstop on this project. Every day is another, hey, can we try this, do this, trying to minimize the impact, knowing that the project has to get done. How can we minimize the impact to the downtown and to the business? And it's an everyday thing. In fact, this went on until about midnight last night. We, as you can see, projected amount we wanted bid to the contractor is higher than allocated amount of money that we have. But we did some changes yesterday, which, again, engineering wise, we'll keep more of the parking open. So this team has worked nonstop. I think the only person that's not here is the police chief, and he had a scheduled day out, so it's just been ahead. But this is the group that are working this thing like nonstop every day. This has been our big project. So it's a 1-year project. All right, who wants to show this part? And you guys agree that there was our pocket, no evidence. Matt, will we do this or Robin? Luke, somebody? Time, yeah. Matt's got the stamp.
Yes.
He's got the degree.
It's 2 phases. Phase 1 is going to be the culvert project, it's out of the parking lot. With phase 1, enclosed landing for mechanic out in the yellow bar there, basically so you just passed 14 landing. Just past 14 landing, sorry. That's phase 1 of the project.
Yeah, let's go a little slow. Let's take phase 1. Do you see where all the buildings are? Are you acquainted with exactly where we're at, showing these pictures?
Again, phase 1 is the culvert project. The culvert will be done first.
What's that?
Can you hear me? All right. I'm gonna come over there. Can we come around?
Hey, what's the yellow? It's for base ones.
That's the project.
So that,
The project.
so if that yellow line is.
That's where managing will be closed for phase 1, the culvert.
There is.
The culvert. Yeah, correct. I think it's showing the whole area that we're working in. That's just showing where the ending's closed. There will be pedestrian access from 6 feet to 8 feet wide, grades on managing all the way through to iPad. You'll still be able to get to that lower parking lot, the one which we here, or be down here at Central. That's again the phase 1 when they do the culvert portion of the project. Phase 2 is the new wall along the brook. That's when the man looking for the sand goes to the yellow bar here, the parking lot. And it'll be open, obviously. There'll still be 2-way traffic from here down to the 12 parking lot there to phase 2. Again, during phase 2, that parking lot in the upper sector that I can, there'll be contract key at the stage.
So your manning out will be open from one end, and then it'll close that other end, and it'll be open on the other. So, at no time,
Correct. Yeah. I mean, braces, say the big one, obviously that's the golf spot with that parking lot that you get, not the vacant system. But we worked yesterday, and there still will be access from here to that videos on one side.
so if you're coming in, leave here, you get out Mechanic Street. After you get behind the first building on Central Monument Square, there's a spot behind Bill Hannigan's, and there's parking there. Then there's a second entrance, and that entrance goes from Hannigan right through Roseville Bank, all down to Central Street. That will be open, correct? So, am I correct in saying that? So the second entrance, that's the one that goes behind Benito's, it goes behind Monument Square. and it comes out at the back of the place. So that'll be open, the whole way, just keep touching. And the school always do wood. And do the will be open the back and either, not sure if that. Yeah, I thought there was a second pair of stop at the back of the unit.
Right.
Yeah, so remember the old days where the bank, you could only come in from the bank in Central Street? There was a little block area there, so you couldn't go all the way through. So you'll still be able to access it from Central, you'll still be able to access it from Mechanic, but it won't go all the way. So we preserve the parking slots that you can, so those spots behind you, will still be there.
So where is the, so you go from the gate street to a behind by the towards east of getting that built all the way to the parking lot, or is the section to go from?
Yeah, we asked this question, which makes
Those lots.
Okay, it says, phase one, so which structure you have,
But, the frag is so, but the construction going to be or really probably ages.
phase one, go in there. Phase one is the color of the
You're
white.
showing 38 and close these two days, we're wondering if they ask.
Man close, we need to show like that. Phase one, close for complete. I get it, that hell lot. There's two-way traffic for Central Street, that's I find it.
Alright, our contractor said, you've got this thing, he lives and reads this thing every day, you can't hear it. You wanna grab the microphone and come up here? I'm sorry, that's what it is. Not because of your step. Get it.
What the, just want to carry it.
Grab it.
Anyway,
There you go. Chris Mike said that, yeah, he moved the agents. This way.
Okay, my name is Joe here, the contractor doing all the work. Your question regarding 14 Manning, correct?
he said, oh, at problem, so it's equal, this is for the seat. So you're saying, and I get it, that city starts with the list, what we like to have override to put from the box, each sheet off, so that you can say five in the city house and that.
I'm still not great at listening to rotation.
So look at belt box. Yeah, the belt box, you need all the different,
Yep.
from all the to left. Okay, you see how it comes straight down here, and I find that car.
Let's call it a silver car.
Yep, the silver prep, so there's little other things that the driveway behind those parking spaces, around what left to your side, and there's some guys told me to build, then we prefer that access to the drive.
I worked with the city yesterday. I can develop a plan that would allow a minimal disruption to that alleyway. We'll have to stage it, but the bulk of the work is actually away from that alleyway. We do have secure duct banks, some electrical outlets. So there's going to be like a 2-week period where there will be some disruption to that, but not with the full project. So we moved that and actually moved that in with that back entrance where chemistry will not be impacted the road. So you'll still have access to the back of that building. And you still could drive, now you can drive all the way through to that traffic. I think that's what you're talking about.
Builders, something the high, so you know, size of the get, yeah, actually, it's that,
Yeah,
so,
so
you know, I know through that, your sewer box, and you're, I still thought you need to have awesome, swag.
now, if you were to take that box and you're actually aiming the back, that's what it does. We need to keep, yeah. In order for cars to park in those parking spots, both the engineering company and the restaurant, we have to make sure that they actually back out of the spots. So what I tried to do is keep it at 20 to 22 feet, which is the typical two traffic lanes. That way cars can back in and out of
I have the point. So we show that as there, it's probably gonna be like this, right? Is that,
the So there is a new light pole base, so that whole entrance will be available. And we're gonna come down in section and so draw a line from that corner over to here. So much would be a 2 traffic lane, and you won't lose those parking spots.
Baby,
well, they're back.
we, and the other thing is,
There will be some disruption.
But it would be just be days.
we're going to start to grow, if we get it, there's going to be time you can set up,
Yes.
and for passes. get that. That's actually shutting down the entire project.
Yeah, well, we worked at that. The problem is, this project is a very big challenge between the asbestos, between the rock, between the old foundations. And it's really not a heck of a lot of room. You're seeing that culvert. Well, this is a very big culvert. So once it's opened up, that parking lot, which looks big right now, it's not going to be very big. It's going to be very small. So we worked with the town, came up with a plan to minimize the size of the excavation to the culvert, which allowed us to actually free up that area. And we're going to phase it differently. We get the electrical work done, we get the full depth pavement done, and actually put new pavement in so that we could actually free that up and give it back to everybody. So, like I said, probably a 2 to 3 week period, which it won't be closed completely, but there will be some days that we'll have to close it just through the physical work.
And we have a website, which you know, we have a website and a Facebook page. I would reference that. So we're gonna make changes, it'll be the days of construction. We're gonna post it right there. So I suggest you check it regularly. We'll also put it out in an email, but sometimes people don't get the email, there's a block somewhere. So we'll have a Facebook page and a website, and days that will be disruption, we'll post them there. We'll give you plenty of time to check the videos. The change that we made, these changes that we're making are not just changes, they're changes, but they're more expensive. So we added, just in the last couple of days, we added about another $250,000 to the project so we can get various things built. So at some point, we can't go above 10% of the total project in change orders, and we're getting there pretty quick. And yes, sir.
Yeah, we just had a question. You did that we're about because the Bill's talking about the area you're talking about the shade a little more.
Yes.
If that be available pretty soon, the send Bill either.
Well, the next thing that's going to happen is once we get the public, state approves the public there, whatever is necessary, at some point we'll let you know. In September, we'll start staging the area, fencing it off, start bringing in equipment. We'll let you know when that is. There's still another permit that we have to get before it's actually built. So instead of starting first of September, maybe another week into it, or 2 weeks into September. So yeah, you'll see us in there. And the other thing that's going to happen real soon, like today, is I know, self-included, there are a lot of people parking downtown in the very spots that are supposed to be left for the customers. So we're going to, in the next way, just start pushing everybody away from those spots. Those are the spots that we really want to leave. So the employees and the tenants that live downtown are going to have to start parking in these undesignated areas and leave those spots, the critical spots, to the customers. And I know, myself included, we do the same thing. So that's going to start soon. And some of it is already 2 mile parking, and we're going to start enforcing it. So these spots are for customers, and there are other places for us as employees to park. But we have a plan in here to show some of the parking. So that's all city parking right there. Those are the spots that we only have in town. And for instance, behind the scene there, that's John, 99% of them. Yeah, and we'll mark that so people can see it, that it's mostly our property. So that might be a place where you, depending on who you are downtown, kind of start to put your employees over there. Yes, sir.
The beach was like, as the city security inside that is utilized facility capacity.
We're waiting on somebody from Bank of America, but we're back yet, and also the Charles River over there. You're already using it. It's your customers that are using that now. So they're using the back parking lots on Tuesday, Fridays, and Saturdays. They have Vito's. So we're trying to come up with something where we have an actual written agreement with them to say that we can use those spots just in the event that they decide unilaterally we don't want anybody here anymore. We'll have an agreement, but nothing in writing yet because we have to reach the owners of the property and their attorneys about it. But we're willing to post a bond, their insurance policy, prevent some of the falls and slips, take care of the property once, maintain it with them, which most of them don't know anyway.
Because they go, they reach the Saturday Town Festival, so it's always doing go on else.
I don't see necessary to suspend anything. I mean, where there's plenty of parking, it's just getting people to and from those areas that, but you got you go around the parking lot right now in Mechanic Street, not one restaurant's open, the parking lot's half full. That's us, that's employees that need to be parking somewhere else. That's our mission. Our mission is we're gonna take away some spots, but really the problem is getting the employees, the people who live that time, who just become comfortable with parking wherever, have to park any further away. That's really the biggest problem.
You see the bill or get a heat or something, guys. I had times food starting. Basically, our knees were packed left and take heat, how heat kind of stuff. You go back next. It's really just like taking quarters or that ton of into a time. That you said really don't be on during beat, gives them that into them so that
Yeah, we're gonna do a better job too. We've got a little bit of boxes out. How many signs do we have? The A-frames? About 20 so far. But we're gonna do a better job of telling people where they can park. So there's a lot across the street. Nobody knows that I don't have to sunny. There's a lot. So the fire department will try to push them. What's the police department? Gee. I told you once already on West Street, nobody parks there today. You want to have the employees park on West Street, they're only ticketed. And they walk right across the street through the front to Caldwell Bannigan's, not right up here. So we're gonna do a better job of marketing our parking so that people understand where they can park. Things confusion about where you can and can't park. That's, I think, things about. And we have the parking garage as well. Downstairs is pretty full, upstairs is pretty full, but there's still spots up top for people to park. So people are gonna have to walk a little further. Employees. And we're doing the same thing. We're trying to declare as many parking positions, as many people as we can this way, to leave it open to the people that work downtown. So we have seen on each here, how many spots we're back here, John? Roughly 42 spots. And out of that 42, 3/4 of it sits empty most of the day. So we own most of that property, even some of the parking that Walgreens is using. They're actually paying because they use it for employment, but they don't use it. So we'll have that clearly marked out there so people know that where they park. Do you want to show in front of videos? So the traffic departments are how many hundreds of somethings. John Fred, you want to speak to some of the changes that we're going to make?
Yeah.
Then some of these are experimental. They work on paper. We're not sure they're part of the reality, but we're going to give it a shot. We have to tweak things, change things, black things out, add, subtract. It was John.
All right, so we were
John, they can hear.
He's faster. No, yeah, talk. Why? That's hard. All right. So we kind of jumped in this. We want to see whatever we could do to help the businesses and the residents step in town, and we kind of had to get creative. Parking's always been an issue downtown. I've been designing downtown to help people get traffic, and Joe Poirier was a big help with. He knows so much about the lane systems, and it's such a complicated system with all those multi-entrance intersections. And then DPW was a huge help with kind of getting the drawings for us. So we were looking at first about doing parallel parking through a temporary order from the chief of police. You're going to close the lane for traffic. You do temporary parking.
So you're coming from Central Street, and you can either go straight up Park west, or you can take a right, and you go towards Main Street, or take a right to McKinney. So you're going, where's the point? The point road. Yeah. So
You're going north.
this car is right in front of Benito's. And if you go north, you either, in the past, you use that, take a right lane, and you go left up to west, or go straight. So, okay. So, everybody, you with us on that one?
If we did parallel parking, we get like 4 cars because there's actually a hydrant there. The hydrant's pretty far off of the curbing. So we're working with the fire chief, doing some measurements there. We kind of decided to look at High Street and the way that they do the angle parking down there, and we decided that doing that would probably be a good shot. Now we're allowed to do 2 different angles. We're allowed to do 45 and 60 degrees, And for drawing purposes, this is closer to the 60 degree, which is what we were hoping to get in there. Because we are kind of slightly on a curve there, we want to try to make that for maximum visibility purposes for people. So
this might not seem possible, and you're thinking like, I'm gonna be backing out into some cars. This lane here, these lanes are big. They're, what's the standard width of a lane, right? That's 11 feet. These things are like 20.
yeah,
So we can move this line back this way and tractor trailers in it, but still to 11-foot lane. That's going to give you more space to be able to, back up. Now, if you're one of those drivers that's pitching and drive or reverse, steps on the gas until you hit something, I'd advise not using this parking here. Park somewhere else.
so and just for reference purposes, those lines are 18 feet. So we can kind of tell the width that we have. So in the areas around where you see the triangles, those are going to be hash marks. Actually, up on the top of, you can see where the ceremony has been moved. That's been a problem for years. I know this the graffiti for as well, and people kind of popular with the line. We've done a lot of things to try to mitigate that. And I think at one time we tried like those little barriers that popped up, and people were just wondering how it worked. Pushing this line over, there's still plenty of room on the southbound side of Central Street, the pump portion. And that's actually going to allow for those people that are coming off of Central Street to be able to move towards the Grand Enough a bit more. So that's really been helped with people being able to make a decision. Now, no matter what we do here, there is going to be a little bit more backup at the lights. People are going to have to be patient, but we're doing everything that we can here. We're hoping that it's not anything major. I mean, we have a little bit of backup now anyways. Joe Porter was recently able to get us a little more room from the Pleasant Street, coming off of Pleasant Street. He was able to get us a little bit more timing, like add an extra second into that light, and now it's maxed out. So the timing of the light on Pleasant Street going red before this bottom lane here goes green. So we pretty much maxed out red for all the lights downtown. We're also looking at adding a spot or two up on the top there on Central Street, but there is a hydrant there that's right against the curb, so it's looking like we're only going to be able to get one in there. We are also back to. Yeah, so Central Street, and then Mount Pleasant. So Mount Pleasant, you can go back time two. So Mount Pleasant, we actually had spaces there for a while, coming off from Mechanic. On the right-hand side, like where Scott's Billiards was, on the backside of Greenwich. And those spots ended up getting eliminated. They got eliminated because of the swing of the tractor trailers that were visiting, and fireplexes, things like that. But temporarily, we're looking at reinstating those spots. And those will be a temporary order for the GF police. And once the project's done, then we'll return to as it originally was, just like that parking downtown, unless people higher up in the city decide to make that permanent to get the target. But we'll see that.
We've been trying to work, Amanda's been working with the railroad. We're trying to take the railroad across from Ginny's and turn that into parking. And we'll light that. It's pretty dark there at night, so we'll light that, strike it if they give us the okay on that. We're hoping they do. People are using it right now. And then people lazy use that walking front. And so I suspect that a lot of the people that work in Via's buildings will be parking in some of those spots. So we'll open up the ones in Mount Pleasant. And we've been watching the spots up behind New Leaf's building on Mount Vanny, on Mount Pleasant side. There are a lot of people that it's easier for them to park there, live on Mount Pleasant. It's easier for them to park there on that strip facing Columbia than it is to park in their driveway. So we're going to have to work. Those aren't owned by the city, so we're going to have to work with Peter to get those people to move out so that the people that are in Three Leafs building at Vandy Ave have a place to park. And I think a lot of people from Columbia have been talking up there. So we've been watching that to see who's there during the day and who's there at night. Last night, the whole strip was full. I think it's mostly employees, I think is the case. And local, we gave them very that. So, that's it.
All right, so as we get up here into this intersection more, you don't have to sure, but I'm sure everyone, if you close your eyes, you can picture it because we thought about I've been here for a long time. So there's supposed to be a right-hand turning lane, and then there's a go straight and turn left here. So then there's a middle line that goes down the middle. The right-hand lane, there's an arrow pointing to the right, and it says only. We all know that there's been a long-standing issue where people that want to take left there, and everybody kind of goes around. I can tell you right now, that's one of those things that's been going on for 100 years. We're going to start doing enforcement on that to keep people in their lanes because of all of this. Education at first for a while, but you're going to start seeing a lot of people getting pulled over from that. It just got tough. Parking because you have crews there to be able to do it. You'll see motorcycles out there doing it. You're going to see a bunch of things. Most of the time, because of the downtown traffic, they're just going to have to follow until they get to a safe place to stop. But right along here, we're going to do hash marks. So you're talking about fire, we need a place where a truck can pull up there. We're going to have parking over here. Then we're going to need a spot where a ladder truck can get in. So we have to maintain safety. So we're going to do some hash marks here, fire lane, and we're going to do some hash marks out in front of Brady's as well. And I don't want to jump ahead too much because it's probably not my section, but they're going to be talking about some ways to get people around downtown, some creative ideas. Which those areas might also be able to be used in some designated little spots for pickup drop-offs. So I know it's cute. Somebody else want to talk about this?
So the Flamingo Express beat out the Appleseed Express and our new involvement pole. So we'll be ordering 2 of the Flamingo Express vehicles that heat in them. I don't know if they have heat and have 4 sides. So we've been move people around. And so like the system will look like, and it's still in development now. You may get to a parking lot if you want, and there'll be a phone number there, a text number. We text it, and someone will come get you. The person who drives it will just keep driving around. See people say, "Hey, you want to ride?" You ride to and from them. They can't drive it, but they can ride you. And so we'll be using 2 of those around town. And then we also would participate. We can't afford to run 100% valet service, but businesses wanted to participate. We could assist in a valet service. That was the case, but we can't fully fund it. We've already run out of money on this project. But anyway, I know I did talk to Peter. There was some interest in sharing the LA service, and so we've been looking at other towns that have a service like Legal Express and see how this works. They do for reasons that the parking is so far away from the restaurants that they just run these shuttle services all the time. It's a seasonal thing. It's one long time because parking is so far away from the business. It's really helpful. The other thing that we'll do is during COVID, we ran a series of radio ads on WXLO and WBI, which is WLPZ now, and XL, which is Pittsburgh Women's PKZ. And so we ran, and we didn't get a lot of feedback from the restaurants, but we advertised regularly, and but we did get feedback from the radio station and from customers, including Lieutenant Governor at the time, that said, she heard 3 ads for the same restaurant. So the feedback was really good. So we'll participate in that again, just to keep it. It's my feeling that you got to advertise outside anyway. All the restaurants in town, in order to keep doing that, you've got to kind of always be reaching out to bring in. So we'll continue with that. And So we really minimized this. I think we've only, the deck over the parking area over the river, that's gotta be covered. This big equipment that has to come in, first 4 week days is pretty much gonna explain to everybody exactly why it is that they're doing and why we have to close out that parking. So we really worked hard, the whole team here worked really hard, non-stop for months and months and for years to try to minimize this. On one end, trying to get the engineering done, get the permits done, and to get funding, and then have the least impact downtown. So we're going to put on our happy face the best that we can. I think that's exactly how we slide. So here's some of the additions of our signs. We'll have them in 2 languages. If you want a sign in front of your business, let us know. Again, we'll try, we are going to push employees and tenants who live here further away, but we're going to start enforcing the parking, and we'll do some educational things in advance, but it's got to happen. It just has to. We have to leave the spots downtown for the businesses, and for the rest of us, hopefully we'll. And so we're trying to put a happy face on it. If there are things that you want to do, the sizing up, if you want to put the appropriately designed banners up, or you want to make it into a party. I know that, if we had to shut down the tunnels in Boston, and we did that on Saturdays and Sundays, that required everyone to use public transportation. And I suggested that we open it up to businesses, and the businesses set up the kiosks and booths at the train stations, and the subway stations, and gave out samples and sold things, and it was really a big hit. So we don't want to scare people away from the downtown. And, the Flamingo Express is one way that we use as an example of trying to put a happy face on it. But the job is going to get done. The work is going to get done. We thought and rethought, rethought the whole thing through. We, I think, have minimized this thing to the least impact. But if we beat this thing up, people won't come downtown and listen for us. And that's not what would happen. That's why we spend so much time with this. So, that's it. Here's the project. And at the end of the project, and it's, a year is what we project. Could it go longer? Yes. We hope not. An old contract also took this. That's what we thought. It was money for this. And I might be like, it was money. But we want to go as soon as we possibly can. But take a look at the project that is done. It really is going to be a beautiful addition to the downtown and to that area. But we got to get through the 12 months of agony to get it done. So we'll be around always to be available, but check the website and the Facebook page, which is up here. And we'll update as soon as we know something, it'll be up. All right, any questions? I just want to thank the team. It really, every year we push and look at this and look at that. And I text Peter, and he says some nice things to me. And I text him back. He said, Peter, you talking to the right person? He says, yes. And then he says, I'm sorry, I really do like you. But we all have the same intentions. That is to minimize anything. Because let's face it, downtown is the best it's been in a long time. And businesses are doing well, I believe. The reputation of all the businesses and restaurants downtown is really good. New Leaf just bought, Manning Ave building, and it's investing heavily into that building. So we want to make sure everybody's successful. And we get into the least amount of aggregation. And so this whole thing will be on it. Doesn't end for us, September 1, to bring the equipment in and the changes to give us. So, yes. Yes.
And I want to start the project on this information. Seems there's going to be a big step by the improvement machine. Currency, well, that's enough. Like, this area, allows people, with the basic area is to value the impact of lots of responses on area businesses and you see really as they start building this fully occupied right now.
Are you talking about spaces right out front?
Our buildings, follow additional spaces. Getting rooms, community value, yeah.
So is it definite that those will be eliminated permanently?
Not the one that I love, sure. That's correct. So huge.
What was it? Because I'm so that the sharp regular and 40 parking spaces that looks like they use like over the years. And right now we just one space and then two spaces and then like look like race launch easy there and mounting over these ones with
The package, well, the dot. Reader, those says speak powerless. They just have it.
But that's not permanent. The light in the wire. Oh, one's in front. Permanently lost.
Yeah.
that's concerned.
Is that city owned or is that? We're not going to take it back away from Lloyd Steel.
No, this couldn't city that city. And that's every.
All right, so I guess
When I do my back, you'll see the report, so everyone knows and say they're that call them.
All right, let's look as we get into this. As we dig over, no pun intended or pun intended, as we dig over deeper into this thing here.
Just see that we're currently what it is, rising the slope like that, so that we can move through that or make those things.
Yes. That's for us. That's a change order.
You know,
We're maxed up. We're, like I said, just yesterday we spent another $250,000 that we don't have. So we're reaching that point where if there are other change orders in the project, we're going to be in trouble.
Is it business actually aware?
Yes.
The stage from other still on neighbors are is attitude that the 12 project is grading at all, but somebody that you sure much worse than they to go down in the what it's done that is very headed the real world application. So really the project to consider this and the time adjustments, the poster with here just clarity that
Yeah, he's the engineer. I only have a driver's license. That's it. I don't have any license.
it's worthy of consideration.
All right, you can answer that right now.
Permanent in that on this, that we're all really talked about, very well, permanent, this not a short term change, there's a big permanent change, like, consider, yeah, now this downtown of this idea, how do we need to continue to grow, you want to fill out a big available map, streets, or small downtown, like, the journey. But again, we style the vibe, the ability to serve its parish in the ocean farm.
Well,
Yeah.
again, remember, we really have, if you go to any other city, the employees do not park in the spots that should be left for customers. If we really like our customers, we should be making it as convenient as we possibly can. And we have a good idea of how many people, because we've been watching it for months, are downtown, parked right in front of the business. And that should be left for somebody who's, let's face it, that should be left for customers. Especially somebody that doesn't have a plaque or maybe has a physical disability, might have trouble getting into the building, but doesn't want or maybe it's a temporary thing. So there are a lot of those spots. So we did look at that, but I'm not the engineer, so I'll let him answer the officer. Good question. On answer.
It's a great question, like you said, it's why the wall has moved toward me. It's about, it's all hydraulics. It's been a pass me. When we replaced all the concrete, the culvert's going to be larger, wider culvert. It's approximately 11 feet wider than it presently today. That edge of the culvert, Jason to me, that between 11 feet towards Man's. With that, we needed to bring the brook into the culvert. As a result of that, we need to get the channel you guys want to get to convey the flow through the brook and not leak the brook. I.e., walls we pushed in, they've been stretched. So we need that hydraulic capacity, hence move the brook back. We moved the brook back 9 feet, further 9 feet. So we tried to get as close into the brook as possible, maintain the hydraulics so that we could mitigate flooding that otherwise occurred if kept the roots more forward. The walls need forward into the brook. Moving the wall would require re-permitting many of these departments as well. So not only do you have the challenge of having a re-permit, you're also going to reduce the flood resilience, and you have impacts ironically on the brook. It will not function as intended by pushing the wall back further into the west of it. Brooklyn needs the space we keep.
Question, what's the size of the air school? What do you mean?
It's it's a 22-foot wide by feet, something 3 inches of dust.
What babies over the east side?
I don't have that which of us.
Take the reason the fastest to the as a editor. So this we had all of these smaller and so maybe good. You're actually decreasing blood passing things. I made that. What was the this point meet that at least, but upstream is the cold centers.
In the future, that would be a pinch point. Presently, the pinch point is the existing culvert windows list.
If you're making culvert 8 feet wide, to the caution is have it takes us. Especially get that capacity of the existing culvert in the cost. There's a statement. You see that fault and quality that isn't six.
No, these things are done. We have a whole series. Remember, this is number 1 in flood mitigation. We have a whole series of
issues here. It doesn't make sense.
All right, but I understand what you're saying, but this was number 1. But number 2 is probably going to be the next section. Remember around all one credit union that floods all the time? So as we move upstream, we increase the size of the culverts as we go under the roads and as we get into like that area around all one. But this is phase 1. I mean, this is the most important project that everyone was the most important one is phase 1. So we're not doing the whole thing at once. This is the first part.
You're saying please raise and go and city.
We're going to have to go and just keep following this thing because look at all the one. I mean, we lost sheep's here, fine sheep's here. All those houses on this little place, we lost them all. We're talking 8 feet of water in it. We lost everyone, electrical systems, everything. That removed every single person. And that extended up out of Pleasant Street onto Athens. So yeah, but right now this is also critical because we'll lose the road, we'll lose parking, we'll lose everything. So I get it. It's like a hose, and you got a 3/4, but we've got an inch over here, but this is a 3/4. But we're going to have to turn the whole thing into an inch, right? We're going to have to expand that all the way out. It's exactly
That's the two. History when past and so and the United States
well, it's going to stop the roads from caving in.
is back to being smaller.
That's another project. That other side of the street is not part of this project. This next phase of this project is the one that NASCO is working on right now. That's the other phase of this. That's why you see the Jason Harris. I don't know, they're working on it now. And I suspect that they'll be looking at both, since they were involved in this project, they'll be looking at the other side of the street, how it relates to this side of the street. So that's a whole separate project that we're working on. That's
You get to look at real adjusted there, and added in those states, states instead of parallel. It might be that we have to happen with a bit, right? That's just my understanding. So it's this one.
right. But that's something we're changing the project. We can't change anything now. If you say you relay things out later, maybe. Yeah, I don't know on the next time.
He certainly be
Right. That's something. Again, I don't have a license to drive, but that's something that they can look at down the road. How reconfiguration of spots, obviously, why wouldn't? But as far as the project right now, we're at that point where we don't have money to change anything, and we can't change anything without that.
You back some the boxes and the weapon is given as an argument this in the beginning class. When we started class, so the zero loss. He said, "What things Bob was there?" You said,
That's not true. That's absolutely not true. We thought, like, this, we've had.
So all these.
Moving on after you said that,
All
That's
these
not
meetings,
true.
we had all these meetings that we have on this project. I sat there looking at the DPW, right? We hounded people, please come to these meetings and give us your opinion.
"So good."
Yeah, I really. So now when we're gonna start the project, to come in and you can say whatever you want to say. We had so much public outreach for this. It was mandated.
Facebook, emails, signs, we did everything to try to get people's interest in this thing, to get public input.
And so if I go back to the this is smile on face goes sick that I didn't bow. She is so slightly my recommendations of best. And that's the easiest thing we gave them. So well,
Would this have to be referred? Yeah. That's EPA, that's Army Corps of Engineers, NASA, all of it.
so we know with that, our request is how do we replace the loss?
We'll look at reconfiguration of the parking if we can.
Not to see the races one.
Well, I don't know who owns the spots up in One Pleasant Ave, but a lot of those spots are people who live on the other side of the street. I would start enforcing that. We don't own them, but we would tell those people they can't park. I would do signage saying, this is parking for Manning Ave building, if that's what belongs to you. I'm not sure what belongs to. Well, somebody owns the parking, but they're not sure what it is. If no, but I'm saying, if we own it, we'll enforce it if we own it. If not, then whoever owns it's gonna have to tell those people they're gonna have to park somewhere else, because there's a lot of parking. Kenny, what's your question?
Obviously, the project in once get several beautiful listed spots. Has there ever been any concern for like I look you have a church you know I mean like in once the spot that was built we get a whole in the future what little Tom.
We probably wouldn't have enough room because of the way you have to access it. You'd lose a lot of spots getting into it. But the latest parking garage that's been built, that's similar size to us, is about 20 feet.
And again, it does seem like and downtown buildings when this product is done, Jake, he probably loses spots.
Well, the first thing that we have to do is the parking study. And the parking study is going to show, we know this, that, and we'll know this through the project, is there are just too many people who live and work downtown that are using the spots. So that's the first thing they're going to make us do. So this will be a good example. And then, based on that, they will be put for a grant to help us study the feasibility. In other words, the engineering, can we put something on that soil? Do we need to put parking garage behind? C9 might be the better spot for parking garage. But at this point, we know already that through the parking study, we know there are just too many people who work and live downtown that are parking in those spots where the customer should be parked. So, yes,
12 bosses we looked at the 9 spots from the what you have which 9 spot was the one and I know right now it's temporary maintenance. Jeff afraid to sit there looking at possibly what's in remnants. So I had to go with have some plastic that would be a demo off the 2 horns of them. So that's things that all we're look at. But that status of the Boston Health does not include there's 9 that's stuff that be very temporary and so yeah. It's right, it's just an example of our location.
well, we'll watch those spots up on Mount Pleasant. Captain, let's watch those spots up on Mount Pleasant. Because at 9 in the morning, I don't know what time your tenants start to come in. Is it raining? I'm not sure what time they start coming in. All right. So at 7 in the morning, there should be nobody there, right? All those spots, there should be nobody there.
I can speak for those spots.
Yes. Yeah.
Golden Table, I heard Golden Table, talk about that. We heard all the boys talk about that. So I do see neighbor Beverly Park right there. And I would say it's probably 10 or 20%.
How many?
10 or 20%. I probably the president.
So if we market that,
I think we can talk a little bit on this. So
Obviously, a lot of you guys have seen me downtown. I've gone to a lot of businesses that not only introduce myself, but also address something parking issues that a lot of people are having. So I'm usually in early in the morning. This is the other day. Usually don't when it's nighttime, checking things myself also. Okay. Logan, is that me? Sorry. So same thing. Logan, I've talked about this thing. Talking with Columbia. They're having an employees park. Soul Kitchen parking in the old Walgreens there to open up those spots. On average, just got 9 businesses involved. There's over 100 people that are on shift the whole time. I never even made it to it. I never even managed with some of the other businesses. That's 100 people that are just working in this area. Now, most of those people are parking right in the middle where everything is, where it should be for the customer. Residents are parking in those upper Mount Pleasant Ave areas. Yes, we're going to have to keep an eye. Yes, we're going to have to figure out who knows what you start. Obviously, all the residents buy it for them. Like I said, I've been to every single one. It's just a matter of we have to try to work something that's important for the everyone. I understand your concern is doesn't cut the spot, but the way to try to move things around.
Yeah, we'll look at it. I mean, once we get into, I mean, we can't stop moving the wall. I mean, we're maxed out. Like I said, 10% of the project. If we have anything else, change orders there, make things that they anticipate during construction, you know this, we're in trouble because we have to bid out through the whole procurement process again, and we don't, A, have more money, and B, we have to, if we go beyond 30%, we have to bid out whatever the changes are. We're running into that in another project now. But we will look at, we can look at what's that?
You'll see. You start see.
Everybody ran for this project. He's the only guy that understood it. I mean, he's done these kinds of projects. But what we'll do is, once we get into it, kind of see where this is, right? I mean, this is all engineering. We can look at what's there now, right? I mean, we can. I thought there was a plan to tear one of the buildings down on Mount Pleasant Ave, but now there's apartments going in there, I'm sure. But at one point, it's going to be torn down for parking, and I'm not sure what's going on with that. So there are some other alternatives. Yeah. And we can word them any way you want, those examples.
You need that help them. Hey, we get small version of the employee happens. Maybe for the applicants to grab it in data. Yeah, employees are probably asked good at thing. They are one place ads. They enforce that those that as employee right.
Well, those are private spots, though.
No, but I'm saying the purpose of being
Yeah.
that.
I got you. Yeah.
Something employee right. Even there is something that our employees
We could do that. Man, like a flat load, something laminated you can throw in your dashboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just one thing, when it comes to the parking on Mount Pleasant Ave, so just pulling up GIS real fast, which we all know is not exactly accurate. It looks like you probably own 2 or 3 spots up there that are they're immediately adjacent to your building. And then all the rest of them are private. They're owned by North Central Investment. So we cannot ticket those. The only thing we could ticket there is a handicap spot on private property. We can ticket for that. But we can't ticket for any of the rest of that. But the owners of that property can do, if people are parking in there and they're not supposed to be there, you guys can tow. You guys can do private tows. And you call the tow company. It's an email that has to be sent to us. And then the tow company charges the person who's target.
And that's the other thing is we're gonna have to create some more handicap spots. I don't know how many, but if we're taking any out, we really need to be coming back in. Allow me if there are any. We'll think what else
That's what this would be.
so we have to recreate that. And that's the other thing is we're working really hard to try to take away all the obstructions for people with physical disabilities to make it easier for them to move around in downtown. You wouldn't believe how many people go to that library every day. And we really have to stay on top of that because there are a lot of people that have a handicap placard. And so we have to go above and beyond the confidential. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. So I think it's work is all put down. You saw coaching this time here, so you left. Where is
Well, we have to prove our iPads. So
once we lay out the new soil, unfortunately, that also line is in solid rock. So what will happen is the small crew will actually clean up the rock, will bypass place, so that we have a clear passage. The new line is in a different alignment as over. So that allows us all that work without, it's never construction service. We have to maintain that LS mass structure.
So, if I let's say, thing is over there, and then parts.
It's this point because it's in soil to your rock. Rock is about to get issue 3D. So I've got about 5 feet of solid rock to get out. And each way I'm into the light. So we has been actually backfill so that when it's set up the sewer bypass, which we want to minimize that time. When we ready to actually excavate right through it, install new like this tornado ones, and piping test.
Oh, get by this all along.
Yes. Now, the information I have, yes, will be the bottom of the trench.
The height is there, something hard to be see. That's heights.
You mean loud a little bit? Yeah, no, we have to use stretcher boxes. We just the plants. We have some specialized space regular that we can buy them up. We don't have to. We minimize the vibration. Stop the worry to try and provide with that staff at the end of the week. So we have special equipment that actually, with its carbon key, will actually rip that rock schist. Right, it actually goes up to easily. So vibration is then able to shoot the code. But laterally, we've got to protect our work using it will actually use the shield as
Worry about so
yeah, I think
other lines. You know what?
there's a trench box.
All that empty. But oh, if I just decide this whole project, it's just that time.
Well, if I hold the trench back, we would all sort of that around this back. And you're fine, you're 14 man back to, and you're 30, 40 deep left.
So that level. Stop it.
It's, we'll take off this rock.
You just walk the side of the giant. It's not even second.
Just once a while, it's set.
Yeah, you would. It's a nice day, fine. And then the last two things, before I forget, there is asbestos in the parking lot, and the people that will be working there will have wet white suits. I didn't want to scare any of the customers away. And the more PR you can do about this and the information you can get out about, yes, we're open during construction, and share the information, the website, all of that, that will help. And then in the parking study, I don't get to show
It is here.
yes, in that area that we have up here, where they, sorry, highlighted it, there's a 1,041 private parking spots that we can enforce. So it's going to be really important for the people that own those spots to make sure that those spots are set aside for your customers. So between what we own and what's already out there privately, but we can't enforce them, so we can't ticket them, there's nothing we can tow, there's nothing we can do. So behind the Columbia and anywhere there's public parking, we're going to enforce it. And there have been already, many of these areas already have ordinances, signs have been torn down, I don't know what's happened over the years. So we are going to start enforcing it. We're going to get the word out. We're going to be nice about it, warn people, but we really do have to make people money if their employees will live that. Yep.
I wanted to, we said that just maybe your support projects. I think that was decided here, but that's you, Council Minister, and Obama. So I also think it's helpful if you not very quickly respect community. So we get out to the
Yes.
we say, and that really includes takes and goes from some land that I got big, very good people taking their trust plan to see the very good over it, just for plans of it's the roads that go, it's the roads to request. It's no very story, and I know, the issue where those are actually all over in the area of closure. So it's very helpful for us to plan and to know, even if it's a week in advance, when we switching from one.
Yep. Well, Luke, Amanda, and Melissa will be our primary points of contact, but we'll be available. Believe me, if you don't think when I found out that you were buying the building on Manning Ave, or that Kenny was opening up downstairs, or Benito's was doing what they're doing, all these people are coming here. How do we, I mean, I own a business. I fully understand where it's like at 2 in the morning to be thinking, I just bought this building, and now they're gonna do this project. I get it. And everything that I've done is with that in mind of thinking. Every day I wrestle with my own employees to say, you have to park over by the parking garage, but it's raining. I'm sorry, that's where the park. I get it. It's scary. It's scary at best to know that people invested so much and there's so much at risk. But that's why I say we're putting on a happy face here. Happy face. This much we possibly fit. There's the happy face right there. Look at that happy face.
Finally, very low. He's got a really had exactly worse from it. It's great in the AC. The side work a lot buzz. Sorry, I didn't get on. So, be the city that has some network in Asia, right? So that it's our day. This right is to them. No, let's talk about it.
No, we understand. No,
And I do. Well, I let us.
yep. No, we understand. So it's
The city, what are you doing with this guy? So,
yeah, we take care of that. We have more control over that. We have a couple of big companies that we work with. We don't know who he would hire. Not that they're bad people, but we've had good luck with the people we have. And so, thank you for your patience, Clay.
Pages, if it's a call, I'll apologize. The discussion we had was bank building and it was those elements, the nursery, the slabs, the okay, I think,
So, Lowestone has been excellent. The Lowestone has been great. Right now, people are using other parking lots unofficially. We're watching that on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. We're parking behind the Bank of New England. And Wendy was already in conversation 2 weeks ago with Bank of New England. If they're apprehensive at all, we think we can get ahead of it and say, listen, we'll, post a bond, insurance, whatever we need to do, and come up with something a little more official so that we can use that parking. And so we're watching, and people, mostly at Benito's and Rady's, but they're also parking, believe it or not, they're also parking on Park Street. Some people are parking on West, and they walk, which is a good thing because they feel safe. We have at least 2 walking beats downtown, so I think customers haven't been all that, they haven't really left the business because they couldn't find parking. But we're trying to formalize those agreements with those banks. But they're not, like Bank of America, you've got to talk to, go to the world. The other thing is TD Bank, we'll talk to line for a particular client. So everyone's been willing to help. And we just don't know exactly what this is all going to be. Once we start the enforcement and the educational part, we're going to find out just how many people. We think we know how many people are parking, employees and people that live downtown are parking in those spots. And we're going to find out right quick just how many. And again, we're just asking people to cooperate. But I think long term, they really want to leave those spots for your customers even after the project is done. And the rest of us can move it, right? Real defensive. If you worked anywhere else, like, yeah, there's the volume talk up there. And that's something that we should be thinking about as more and more people occupy space in the downtown. So that's our project. When do you plan on, just if you're, when do you plan on starting it?
We're waiting for one point. And then once that goes, you don't want to take a lot and have nothing happen. So I don't think scope. But we're waiting for that last mass change. We replaced the board from the culvert, which is actually 12 weeks production. And I add my schedule in so that we minimize. You'll see some things pretty good, but you don't want to actually roll equipment and take a lot. You need that ducting out of there while we wait for that to it's going to be, you'll start seeing Tiffany sometime in September, but probably not until we're thinking we'll get it through next week. So we're great.
Yeah, please. And
Well, again, if anybody's interested in doing valet parking, we could help with that. We could help with that
be able to start as soon as passing out.
for valet parking. But there are companies like, so I went to Plymouth to see their operation, and like I said, Plymouth, between the downtown and the ocean front, they're just on parking spots. But there's tons of parking, so they run a service called Cricket. It's called Circuit. So we've been in touch with them. They run the whole thing. So they run these vehicles that we showed you. And they're really on top of it. They run a really good operation. We may decide, depending on what happens initially, to just go with a service like that. But if we hire a company like them, Kenny, they handle insurance. So, but that's something. We'd be willing to partner. I talked to Peter about, where's young Peter? Peter. He's talking to Joe. I talked to Peter about it. I talked to Peter Senior. I talked to your father about doing something together with valet, and he's been in touch with the company. So
They would try to one company that was quite good this year, with a distance session. Outside the company there. There's a company that's first.
yeah, they do hospitals and well, if anybody can find somebody out there, let us know. We'd be willing to partner with Peter or some of the businesses to help pay for that. So we're willing to, within reason, we're willing to do whatever we have to do. I mean, this service seems to work good. We got, have two vehicles driving around, and you text them or call them, yeah, I'll be right there. And they just roll around anyway. And, honestly, it's a nice day. Most people want it. And I watch my state all day until it just to watch how the state works. They're on top of it. They've got a really good service. But it was a really hot day, so people were using it. And the guy that runs it said, on a nice day, people just prefer to walk. But we'll pick them up coming back. He said, they'll get carried away walking from the other end of Plymouth, all the way down to about Plymouth Rock, and then realize it's 4 miles back, so we'll take a short way. So we're open getting to any of that stuff, whatever we can come up with. And most of the companies, though, that's what I'm trying to do with the company, is they're handle the black metal too. So that's why from building front up those, we left those spots there. They just want to do some sort of a valet parking that they'll pull up, get up from there, and keep in the head up, you go up. So, okay, but we're around. We're not going anywhere. We're going to stay with the project. We'll let you know what's happening. We try to minimize this as much as we can. If you want us to decorate the fences with holiday lights, or you want to put whatever it is, if we put our best face on it, let people know that, hey, we're dying and we tend to minimize this, but, we appreciate the business and we want you to come. We did have parties and, we don't, as I said, there's no good time because it's a year-long project. So it starts in October, it's still be the next October, right? So there's no opportunity right now. We could start today. There's hardly any water running down that river after the week ago. But so was it. Okay, thanks. We'll hang around here if you have any questions. Yes. And Rick, you guys go down, walk the building, oh yeah.